Now, so far you all have an understanding that constructivism is something which believes that students create their own knowledge, isn't it? Through the active mental process of development, which is a very important aspect when we talk about constructivism. Now, the second point says that people construct their own understanding of the world through process of adjusting mental modes to accommodate new experiences. Now, we saw how this accommodate plays an important role when we talk about constructing one's own knowledge or one's own understanding about the world. Now, what are these mental modes or what are these things or adjusting of mental modes we are talking about? We'll see that as we go ahead in this particular topic. For now, you can just know that we accommodate new experiences by linking the new one to the old one. Okay, this is more than enough. I hope all of you all remember the shapes that I showed you all in the last lecture, wherein I showed how the pentagon was connected to the square, isn't it? The square was the old knowledge and the pentagon was a new knowledge. Now, the third point is constructivism is the theory, as we clearly mentioned it in the beginning, that it is a theory that describes learning due to construction of knowledge. So it believes that whatever that we learn is by constructing our own knowledge based on our previous experiences or by linking new information to the information that already exists within us about a particular concept. Fourth point says that learners are creators of meaning and knowledge. We know that. Constructivism believes that I, as a teacher, cannot teach anything. I can only provide resources to the child, and each one will create their own form of knowledge. So, whatever shape that we saw in the previous lecture will be different about that particular knowledge of every child. Okay, not everyone will understand this topic the same way. Okay, I have understood the topic differently. My students will have their own understanding, and their understanding, if we try and give it a shape, the shape will be different. So they create their own meaning, their own knowledge. This is what constructivism theory believes in. Now, famous contributors to constructivism are Lev Vygotsky, Jean Piaget, and Jerome Bruner. So these are the three psychologists who actually contributed to this concept of constructivism, wherein they discussed about its principles, its meaning, what this theory is about, and how it can help our teaching learning process. There are various books written on this particular theory, and they're very elaborate. And here, during B.Ed, what we are trying to learn is the uh, basic core of that theory of constructivism. Like Lev Vygotsky has his own interpretation, Jean Piaget has his own interpretation, so also is Jerome Bruner. Okay, but they all stated that learning process, that construction of knowledge or constructivism will not work if you do not involve your students actively in your classroom, or you don't give them activities which will make them construct their own knowledge. So when you give them something ready-made, if you give them, if you spoon feed them, it denies them of that opportunity. So it's very important that as teachers we give them enough opportunities to learn actively or to participate actively in your classroom, so that your job is not even half of what you should be doing, because some resources in our, they will develop their own knowledge, they'll construct their own understanding. So it's very important to understand this basic principle. And if you know or if you have understood this principle well, no matter what question is asked on constructivism, I think each one of you will be able to answer it easily. Now, in the next slide, let us go ahead and see some characteristics of constructivism. Now, when we talk about characteristics of constructivism, these are points which we have already discussed before. But now, why it is important to see them under that umbrella of characteristics of constructivism? Because whenever you think of any strategy or whenever you think of any approach, you can call it a strategy of constructivism or something that falls under the umbrella of constructivism only when it fulfills all these topics, all these points that we'll be covering under this characteristics. It's very important that you understand them well and know that in order to implement constructivism theory or constructivist theory in your classroom, what are the things that you need to take care of? Okay, some are we have already discussed, but we can put some more for some more light on these concepts as we move ahead. So let us start with the first point. As we know that learning depends on what we already know, isn't it? What is that what we already know? It is nothing but the previous knowledge, isn't it? Like, say suppose if you are teaching your students about photosynthesis, before teaching them about photosynthesis, you need to find out their previous knowledge about that particular topic. Okay, it need not be the previous knowledge, need not be directly linked to the concept that you are going to teach. But at least the students will know that there are plants. Okay, there are different types of plants. What color are the leaves? Which are the different colors of the leaves? Okay, at least this basic information they will have. So this serves as the previous knowledge for that given topic. So it need not be always related to the topic, or it need not be always directly related to the topic you will be teaching. But in a way, it should have some link to the main topic that you will be discussing with the students when you're starting with, or when you want to link that previous knowledge to the new one. Okay, so it believes that the constructivism theory believes that learning depends on what we already know. That what we already know is nothing but previous knowledge. Okay, so now let us go ahead to the next point. Here it says that new ideas occur as we adopt and change our ideas. Okay, what do you understand by this? Any one of you could respond. New ideas occur as we adopt and change our old ideas. I think this example we have already taken in the previous lecture. Any one of you, it may not be always the right thing, but whatever that you have understood about this particular statement, you can go ahead and share your point of view.
Ma'am, it means that as we open our point of view and accept new things, it opens us up to a new way of thinking.
Very good. So if you want to take in some new information, first of all, we should be ready to adopt or to change our basic information that we have. Say suppose, uh, is this Steve? Steve was talking
Yes,
just
yes,
now.
ma'am.
Okay, okay, Steve. Like how Steve said, accepting. Now, say suppose if you enter your class and you tell your students that about, say suppose respiration, you're talking to them about respiration, and then they have their notions or their understanding about respiration. And if the students are not in a position to accept what you're saying, they will never be able to learn, isn't it? So in order to learn something new, in order to enhance your knowledge, you need to be first accepting the given knowledge. You should have that art of accepting what is given to you, yes, but also with your questions. Now, when you're accepting any knowledge or when you're trying to adopt or whenever you're trying to change your old ideas or your own knowledge, that's where the point wherein the questions will evolve. Now, say suppose you have a preconceived notion about something, and one day one person comes and tells you that no, no, this is not the way it is. This is how it is, like how I'm telling you. It can be about anything. So when a person who comes with a very different idea about a concept that you know already or you have some idea of, and when a new person comes with totally different idea which is exactly in contrast of your own, it will definitely raise few questions in your mind. Okay, so these questions are nothing but these are the products of that change accommodation that is happening in your brain. You're trying to adopt, you're trying to change your old ideas, trying to make sense with what the other person is telling. And when you all the questions that are rising in your mind are answered by that person, then you are able to take his or her idea and join it with the one that you already had, isn't it? So this is how that uh, process. It is a mental process. It is a direct process. It is you cannot see it happening, but this is how it functions. This is what the psychology This is how the psychology of a person works like when we talk about constructivism. It says that new ideas occur as we adopt and change our old ideas. So in order to adopt and change our old ideas, we need to be accepting. And we need to be in a position to at least listen to that particular what do you call point of view, or maybe we can say we should be in a position to link our previous knowledge or link that what we know to what they are telling us. So this is how the constructivism works at the psychological level. Now, uh, third point, if you have any doubt in relation to this, we'll be discussing three important points once we finish this category step. And I feel when we'll discuss that, it will be a bit more clear to those who are still finding it difficult to understand. Okay, and if you have understood it well after discussion of the second point, well and good, you'll be in a better position when we'll be discussing those three important points of learning. Now, let us go ahead and take the third point. It says that learning involves inventing ideas rather than mechanically accumulating facts. We all know this, isn't it? You cannot learn if you are simply accumulating facts. It is not learning, it is just by hearting. You are just aware of that. What is learning? Learning is something which will remain with you for a longer time. It will allow you to make use of it in your future endeavors, isn't it? So that is what learning is. If you're just mechanically accumulating facts, it is, I know this, I know that, I know this. You're just doing that and accumulating facts with you. If you collect notes, it will tell you all in very simple words. Accumulating notes doesn't mean that you're learning them. Okay, you have your exam in a month, say suppose, and teachers are giving out their notes, distributing their notes, and you're just thinking, okay, I'll take unit 1 from that, unit 2 from that, and you've just accumulated all the notes of all the 6 units. Okay, this mechanical accumulation of facts doesn't confirm your learning. Okay, learning will only happen when you'll actually read them and you'll actually understand them, isn't it? So mechanical accumulation, if I consider analogy to the topic that we are discussing now, it means that in order to learn, you need to invent ideas. You need to give a thought to whatever that is told to you. You need to think about it, and without which learning will not happen. You may feel that I have learned this, but just because you have not given a thought over it, you have not paid attention to what is being taught to you. You have not developed questions while you were learning that, that means you have not learned. Okay? If you have that tendency of asking questions, if there are some questions that are rising in your mind while you're learning something, okay, or if you're feeling that disequilibrium, okay, somewhere in the level of your thoughts, that's where you can confirm that you have started learning that particular concept. Otherwise, it is just mechanical accumulation of facts. Very simple. Now, I don't know how many of you all have observed yourself doing that, or how many of you all have gone through that process. Some would feel that while they are learning, and some it is not possible for all to understand it because it's a bit abstract and hardly any one of us pay attention to that. But yes, it happens with everybody, and whoever that makes an attempt to learn. Now, going to the fourth point, meaningful learning occurs through rethinking old ideas. Now, when I talk about old ideas or previous knowledge, it's one and the same thing. So, you need to relate the concept to old ideas of previous knowledge. Okay, so previous knowledge, old ideas, or whatever that we knew earlier, it's all the same. So, here it says that in order to learn or in order to meaningfully learn something, you need to rethink old ideas. You need to go back to your knowledge that you have about a thing, rethink about that, okay? And coming to new conclusion, you need to come to new conclusion by relating the knowledge of that concept to the new one which someone else is giving you, or maybe something new that you're reading from a book, or something new that you've come across while watching a video. And then it has to have conflict with the old ones. It needs to be in conflict with the old ones, isn't it? So when we can say that there is something happening in your mind and which is bringing out a change in the knowledge that you have, is only when you go through all this. Okay, when you have to rethink about the old ideas, when you have to come to new conclusion about the new ideas, and these ideas or some new knowledge that you have created has to have some conflict with the old ones. But yes, please mark my words. But yes, it is not compulsory that, say, suppose, when I talk about something new, what does it mean to you exactly? When I mean something new, a new idea, what does it mean to you? Anyone? Anyone can from this group can choose to reply. What does a new idea mean to you?
Also,
Yes.
hello.
Yes. Who's this?
Some don't know about before.
Pardon?
Afra.
Okay, Afra, tell me. Go ahead.
Afra.
Yes, Afra, go ahead.
Something that we did not know about.
Very good.
Yeah.
Something that you
Something
did
that we
not
did.
know about. Yes, 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 yes. Your voice is breaking, but that's fine. That's fine because I think I could understand you. Yes, thank you, Afra. Sasha is saying a deeper understanding. Okay. Jasma is saying a new perspective. Very good. Neha says that something that is not known before. Very good. A new thought. Wonderful. Now, when I look at this particular new idea or something new in various domains, it can have its different forms, isn't it? It can be a new perspective, as Josma said. It can be a new thought, like Priya said. It can be something. It can be something that we didn't know about before, or it can also be something about which we knew little. Okay, there are certain things or some things which we learn uh, some other day about, like say suppose. I know something about robotics, but the moment I went to do that course, I learned something more about it. It is not always a new idea sometimes. It is like partially you know something, and when you do something more, or you do something more in detail with regard to that particular concept, you get something more than what you already have. Okay, so that is also considered something new. Okay, new addition to the knowledge that you already have. Now there are two dimensions to that. Okay, there are two types of people. First, let us take the first category. When we talk about understanding, when we take the first category, there are some people who know nothing about that concept, like photosynthesis. Now, a person who knows nothing about the concept, a previous knowledge of that person in relation to that concept of photosynthesis would be, they know that there are plants of different color of leaves, there are different colors of leaves, there are different types of plants. They know that the plants prepare their own food. This is the basic information that they have. And there's a second category of people who know everything about photosynthesis. They know that which are the constituents which are required in order to carry out the process. Okay, but in relation to that, about photosynthesis, they know the concept well, but they get something more than the concept. They get to know something more about the concept by reading or by discussing it with a more knowledgeable other by watching a YouTube video. Okay, so these are the two types of people: those who know nothing about a concept, and those who know everything but something new they come across while learning a topic. So they both are in the same state of learning, but the only thing that they differ from each other is the level of accommodation or the level of assimilation they would be doing when they'll come across with a new information. Now, I'll be stopping the screen share and I'll share a word file with all of you so that we can discuss it in a much better way. Give me a moment. Yes. The moment you're able to see the word file, please let me know. Okay, is the screen visible? Am I audible to everyone? Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. Now I'll be introducing you all to three important topics which each one of us need to know before moving ahead with this particular concept of constructivism. So the first one is assimilation. Okay. Then second one is accommodation, and third one is equilibrium. Okay, so these are the three things that each one of us need to know. Okay, they are accommodation, equilibrium, and assimilation. Now, what is accommodation basically means? Now, when we talk about accommodation, okay, we'll first go ahead with assimilation for now. Now, assimilation is something in which we come across a new topic. Now, say suppose a person is having no idea about photosynthesis. So it is a process wherein now a person is coming across a new knowledge of new information or new knowledge when a person is studying something or person wants to learn about something. So it is a process of taking in something within you about that topic or something wherein you are giving your best while understanding a particular information, a particular idea fully. So it is basically that absorption of that new information. Now consider that, say suppose this person A, okay, is coming across a new set of information for the first time. Okay, a person is coming across a new set of information for the first time, and that information is about something to do with robotics. Okay, a person is trying to understand about robotics for the first time. So when can I say that this person is trying to assimilate that information? Is when this person A is trying to read that in order to fully understand it. A person is trying to fully understand that particular concept. He is trying to, or he or she is trying to process that information within him or within her, isn't it? So this is how assimilation works. It is like it is a process. You cannot just show that at what point of time it will happen in your mind. Now, say suppose if you are reading a novel, let us not get into something scientific, or let us not talk about scientific concepts. Let us go ahead and just talk something very general. Say suppose if you are reading a newspaper, forget about the novels. You're reading a newspaper. Okay, what do we do sometimes? We skim through the newspaper, isn't it? We don't really go through and read everything. But there are some people who, say suppose you find something very interesting in the newspaper and you want to read it properly. So you take that particular column and you start reading it. So when you're reading that particular column, there is uh, a change that is happening in your mind. Okay, while you're understanding each and every word that you're reading in the column. Okay, so that process wherein you're making an attempt to understand a particular concept, okay, or wherein you're trying to digest what is given. When you're trying to make sense of what is given in that, you're making an attempt to fully understand the information which is given in the column. That's where, or that's the point wherein assimilation has started. Okay, it is not something very concrete. You cannot just say that yes, I started reading the paper at 10:05. So after 10:05, the assimilation has started. Nothing like that. Some people take more time to assimilate. Sometimes does that happen with you, wherein sometimes you read that particular column once and you don't understand anything, and in order to understand it in a better way, you have to read it once more. Is this common with you all? When you first go through a concept, the first go you don't understand what is given. So you try and again read it once more. Has it happened to any one of you?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So
Yes,
what
ma'am.
is happening? Yes. What is happening exactly at that point of time at psychological level? That's where some people are very good at assimilating concepts or understanding concepts in the first go. For some, it is not easy because their process is different than the others. That's what our psychological strength comes into picture. So if your assimilation power is very strong, you tend to learn or tend to understand that given concept easily in the first reading. For some, it is a bit difficult to understand it in the first go, but they make a very good understanding, or they develop a very good understanding about that when they read it for the second time. So this assimilation is something with understanding, or the attempt that an individual's mind makes for understanding a particular concept. Okay, now let us go ahead. We have a minute to go, but I'll just introduce you all to this topic of accommodation. What is your understanding about the concept of accommodation right now? What comes to your mind when you think about, or when you talk about this term of accommodation?
How many concepts we can retain?
Very good. Anything else?
Getting used to a particular thing.
Very good. Very good. And okay, very good. So far, it's fine. Now, just see, look at these two shapes here. Now, I'll just move it here. Now, say suppose you are this person, okay? You are this person in green, okay? Whose understanding is square in shape. Now, you are here trying to understand. Okay, just you as a person with a square understanding of a person in square is trying to make sense of the new information which is blue in color here. Okay, trying to make sense of that. So how would you try and make sense of that new information? There are various ways. One is by reading, by talking to somebody else, a more knowledgeable other about that concept, or you can watch a video wherein experts are talking about that concept. And there are various ways or means through which a person would try and understand a given concept, isn't it? So after reading and after discussing with your peers or maybe an expert, you have understood that concept well. Now, what happens when this assimilation or understanding of the concept gets over? Okay, it's all a psychological process. So there is nothing like what time and when. Sometimes assimilation and accommodation goes hand in hand. Sometimes they are separately. This process happens separately. So considering that these processes are happening separately for person A, once this assimilation process is over, accommodation begins. Now, when accommodation begins, what happens exactly in accommodation? Accommodation is nothing but wherein a person is trying to connect the previous knowledge with the new one. Okay, so here, this person, this new knowledge, which is blue in color, is trying to get accommodated somewhere. Okay, this particular knowledge will find a place in the existing knowledge. Where exactly this knowledge can be fitted? Where exactly would it be fitting to the existing knowledge that the person has? So say suppose here is a place where new knowledge is fitted properly. So here the accommodation process is over. Now again, something more the person learns about the same concept, okay, using several means or modes of understanding. So similarly, this new information after assimilation process is over will again join to the previous knowledge of the person. So the square which you can see in green in color is the previous knowledge of the person. So here, this additional information which is blue in color will accommodate wherever it is fitting in the schema. Okay, this is the new term, schema of the person. Now we'll discuss more about what is schema, what is accommodation, what is assimilation, and what is equilibration or what is disequilibrium in our next class. Is anyone